Hello, everyone. Good evening to all of you. We're so grateful that you've joined with us. We need you to come on in and begin to share this video. Those of you that are joining with us, I am excited. This is another month. This is July that we have now entered into. And this is a pivotal time in our lives. And we are so grateful to God to be alive in this season and at this time. And I want to share with you just some intricate parts of what we're going through, how we are in the middle of this season of social injustice, all the things that are happening around the world, in America, and even in our own backyards. We are experiencing change, reform. We are experiencing something that we've never seen in our lifetime. And I'm excited about it because I can feel change in the air. It's on the horizon. And we are a part of it. We are a part of what God is doing in this season. And here we are in this time of social injustice. We've seen, and many of you have been watching the news. The catalyst was the murder of the late George Floyd, and dealing with police brutality. Now, we've seen this happen many, many times before, and the Black Lives Matter movement. But this particular death and murder, heinous crime by the police officer in Minnesota was like none other. It was a catalyst that thrusted this social injustice movement that took place all around America, even around the world. Other countries began to march and to protest. And so here we are now. We are seeing so much happening. And one thing I can say is that with the pandemic that's taken place, this crisis, social unrest, and injustices that are happening, we're yet waiting on the arrest of Breonna Taylor's murderers. And so much is happening. But one thing I can say is, in the midst of all of this, it is uncovering so much of racism, of biasness, of prejudice, and bigotry. This country has been seething with the hatred and the animosity towards different races, and in particularly Black and white. And so we've been seeing this for years. We've seen this take place. That from 1619, when Africans were stolen from their land, sold into slavery, up until now, 2020. So 401 years of slavery, of segregation, of all of this heinous crimes that have been committed against Black and brown people. And so here we are in this, in the midst of all of this, and we're seeing what is taking place. And so I want you to share, because this is going to be an important discussion. Share this video. That's what we're going to be talking about, is social injustice, but particularly as it relates to our youth and our young adults. As you've seen the flyer, young, gifted, and Black. And we're going to be talking to young adults who are talented, who are gifted, who are smart, well educated. They have great gifts and talents, and they are movers and shakers. They are making things happen in corporate America. And so we're going to be talking to them and how they are putting their talents and their gifts to work in the midst of what we're going through. And so before we go forward, I want to share a word of prayer as we ask God to lead us and guide us and direct us. And so while we're praying, I want you to begin to let everyone know, invite another young person, another young adult, invite as many as you can to be a part of this discussion. It's going to be pivotal, it's going to be important, it's going to be very exciting and very informative. I need you to be a part of this. So let's pray. Father, we thank you and we praise you. We worship you and we adore you and we give you glory. Father, you are awesome, you are mighty, and we bless your name. Father, we pray now that you would look upon us tonight. Forgive us of all of our sins, anything that we said, done, or thought wrong. Father, forgive us, cleanse us, and make us whole. Father, we pray for every person that will be joining with us on tonight. Touch their families, touch their lives, every part of their being. Father, open up our minds and our understanding and our hearts as we open this dialogue and discussion on these difficult issues and topics that are plaguing our communities, our neighborhoods, even our nation. Father, I thank you, oh God, that you're causing unity, you're causing oneness, you're causing healing to take place. And Father, I thank you that change is going to take place. Change is on the horizon. Unjust laws are going to be rewritten. Father, I pray, oh God, that justice is going to prevail, is going to run down like a river. We praise you, oh God, for what you're doing. You are in the midst of us. You are in control. And Father, I thank you for every person that will be tuning in. Touch, heal, and make whole. Strengthen, encourage, enlighten us. Give us the power to be a part of this great change. And we give you praise and we give you glory. Give us wisdom, give us knowledge, understanding, and guide us and lead us. In Jesus' name, amen. Come on, I need some more people to like and share. Share this video. It's going to be very, very important, very, very vital to every person. I need you to gather your family together. Go get your family, bring them together, and let's be a part of this discussion. It's going to be explosive. It's going to be amazing. So I need you to be a part of it. So go ahead and share this video with many as you can. And so tonight I want to invite and introduce two wonderful young people. These young adults are so amazing. They are part of this ministry. They are gifted. They are anointed. God has given them many talents and gifts in the body of Christ. And I'm so proud of them. Proud is not a word that can summarize all of how I feel about them. Proud. I love them. I just a proud spiritual father. And so I invited them tonight to be a part of this discussion. They're college graduates. They're working in corporate America, and we're going to introduce them. They're going to introduce themselves in just a moment, but they do such a great job here in our ministry, working in many areas of the church. And so tonight I want to introduce to you Talisha Lewison and Lorenz Menorah. And so would you give them a warm welcome as they join us tonight and be a part of this discussion? Hey, Lorenz. Hey, Talisha.
Hey,
Pastor. Hey, we're so glad that you joined with us tonight. And I know both of you are probably just getting off of work, and you probably had a long day, but we appreciate you. We're better because you are part of this ministry and what you bring to the table, your gifts, your talents, your knowledge. And so we want you to be a part of this discussion. This whole month, the Lord has laid it on my heart to include our young adults, because a lot of what's going on, we last month talked about how to be a CEO, how to be a boss, start businesses, increase businesses. And the month before that, we've dealt with so many other things. But as the Lord gave me this month's theme, as they see us, and I'm pretty sure you probably have seen or heard about the Netflix series When They See Us, When They See Us, and talking about the Central Park Five, those 5 teenagers that were wrongly convicted of a rape in Central Park, New York City. And the devastation they went through. I mean, their lives were ripped apart unjustly, just because of the color of their skin. Their blackness was weaponized. And the mayor was complicit, along with the state prosecutor, along with Donald Trump and many other major characters in New York City, targeted these 5 young boys and just destroyed their lives forever, emotionally and mentally. They lost many years and they lost their childhood forever. And so that's what we're talking about this month, is When They See Us. But one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to bring smart, brilliant minds such as yourself, gifted and talented, Black and proud young adults, to be a part of this discussion. I want to include you a part of this discussion. And so one thing I want you to do is, if you can, just for about a minute or two, tell me what you do. Tell me, I know we know you're college graduates. Where did you graduate from? What do you do? And tell me, I guess, your future plans. So really quickly, Lorenz, you go first. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Pastor, for having me on. I know this takes a lot of courage, which you are a man who embodies that, and I appreciate it. Just from someone looking up to you, being our spiritual father, and being a leader of the church, and a leader of the Kojic organization. But for a little bit about myself, my name is Lorenz Menorah, and I am a recent grad from the College of the University of South Florida with my bachelor's in business administration, or business analytics and information systems. I'm currently I would say a personal finance professional. I've held many hats in that arena. So that's kind of my specialty, dealing with it on the front line where I was customer facing, and also on the back end, ensuring processes are going smoothly. So that's a little bit about myself, and I will pass it back to you, Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you. And so what's your future plans? What do you plan on doing, let's say, within the next 3 to 5 years? What do you see yourself?
Not to be cliche, but I don't have any concrete career plans as of yet. That's something that I work out probably on a weekly basis. But my main goal is to ensure that I'm empowering people, especially people of color. Is one of my things that I'm focusing on. And I just, wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing, I want to be in a seat to pass down some of the things that I've gained, both professionally and just in my adulthood and in my childhood, pass that down to others who may need it or may seek it. So that's, I would say that's probably my goal. Not to be cliche with what we have going on here today, Pastor,
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. No, I mean, because many people are in a job or career that is either self-serving, or it is not making an indelible impact. It's just making them money. But you seek to go beyond just making money. You want to make an impact. You want to be able to empower people that will change their lives forever, that will change their trajectory on the path that they're heading. That's commendable, very commendable. So that is amazing. So no, that's not cliche. That is, and you're saying wherever your journey takes you, you know, in whatever career path, you just want to make sure that you are making an impact. And I love that about you. Talisha, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your journey and where you are and where do you see yourself.
Okay. Well, thanks for the opportunity, Pastor. Definitely, I am a graduate of University of South Florida, so go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
With my bachelor's in marketing. I currently work in finance as well. So I do work in fraud for a credit card company. I also do own my own business called Virtually Made for You, where I am a personal assistant, online business manager as well. And I'm a commissioned notary. But I guess for future goals, I guess within like the 3 to 5 years is definitely one, be able to run my business like automated, so that way I'm actually doing that full time. Because what I want to be able to do is, there are a lot of people that want to get into this industry, especially women of color who don't really know exactly how to jump into it. And I want to be able to say, well, okay, well, come work with me. And then eventually, like, we can work together, branch out, and then they could eventually break off and do their own company as well. So basically just taking the information that I've learned over the years and the mentors that have poured into me, and basically be able to pour it into everyone else, like coming up behind me.
I love it. So business, career woman, and at the same time, entrepreneur and empowerment. You're empowering other people, especially women, to be successful, to be their own boss and to do great things. I love it. This is wonderful. And that is why I asked both of you to come. So you all were handpicked. Yes, 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 yes. So listen, I need a few more people to like and share this video. I need some more people to share this. This is going to be vital. Listen, I need you to get the family, not only them, but I need you to get some other young adults to be a part of this discussion. Many times, many young adults say, well, nobody wants to know what I think and what I bring to the table. I have something to bring to the table. this is the opportunity, and all month long, we're going to be interviewing young adults that are doing great things, that are making it happen, that are successful, that are on their way, their journey to changing a generation, to changing America, to changing the world. And long after they have their children and children's children, these young people are going to be well known, and everybody, I believe it, is going to know their name. They're going to be a nationwide conglomerate of the differences that they've made in their lifetime. So that being said, you know what's going on. You know what is taking place. Black Lives Matter movement that has been miscategorized many times. They think that they're a hate group. They believe that, now that all lives matter, has counteracted the Black Lives Matter. You have so many other people that are trying to miscategorize and misinterpret what they're talking about and what they're targeting. And I posted something today that said that those that are saying that Black Lives Matter, the ones that are saying all lives matter and black on black crime, those are just distractions and deflections off the topic of what we're trying to address, and that's police brutality. And we're talking about black on black crime, and I heard somebody say, well, they won't care about us unless we stop killing ourselves, and all of that, those distractions. But one thing I posted is that I don't know, maybe you can tell me, I don't know of any Black person that killed another Black person, which, by the way, we don't condone murder of any race, of any person or any people. But I don't know of any person that have killed or murdered another Black person simply because they were Black. I don't know of any Black person that said, I'm going to go and kill somebody just because they're Black. So that is not the objective. Black Lives Matter movement and what we're going through, what we're seeing, is because people are being killed simply because of their race. How we're being treated is simply because of our race, and systemic racism in our country from its inception, from the country's inception. We just celebrated the 4th of July, and well, America did. And so we cannot celebrate the 4th of July because we were not free. When the Constitution says all men are created equal, we were not a part of that. We were enslaved. And so we're seeing all of this, and you experienced the tragic murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and the other gentleman, Ahmaud, jogging while being Black. And so you've seen Tamar Rice and Eric Gardner and all these other persons that were killed tragically, murdered because of the color of their skin. How are you handling this emotionally? What's going on in your mind after seeing all of this that's happening in real time? Not 50, 60 years ago, but right now in 2020. What's going on in your mind? Talisha, tell us how you're handling this emotionally and mentally.
When you see another name being turned into a hashtag, it literally hits home, because then it feels like, okay, well, are my friends and family going to turn my name into a hashtag because I want to go check my mail? Or things like that. It does weigh heavily in your mind, and I will definitely admit I am a very strong-willed woman. Is it going to be that I'm in a boardroom and we are having a discussion about policies and someone doesn't agree with me, which is completely fine because I may not always be right and the other person may not always be right, and we just agree to disagree? But is it going to come in where I go walk to my car because I'm going to go home to my daughter and I don't make it to her? And those are things that literally cross my head. Or because of the fact that we have COVID going around, when I get my groceries delivered, is the Instacart driver going to say, oh, well, that's a Black woman. She must think I have money on me, so she's going to rob me for whatever it is when you pay for Instacart with the card. So, I mean, there's no way I could in the first place. But those things literally cross through your mind when you just go through your daily basis. And I guess when people don't understand, or like when you try to have those conversations, it's like at least for me in my experience, with you're not afraid just because of something that I can't wash away. If I go in the shower, this is going to stay the same. So, but yet for your profession, you could take off your job. You can take off your work uniform. You can switch jobs for really what it is, but I can't switch being a Black woman. Mm-hmm. And those things literally run through my head every day. And then having to sit there and explain it to my 7-year-olds. Hey, you have to be very careful when you're communicating. I understand that you're playing, but some people may not take it like that, or their parents may not.
Right. So you live with that not only personally, but then you have also your daughter to think about, and having to deal with the constant reality that it could be you, could be a family member, could be someone close to you, and that you have a child that you have to constantly think about, if I can do this, if I should do this, am I going to raise my child and see them, see her grow up? And so I totally understand that. Lorenz, as a single Black professional young man, yes, and here you are, you grew up in a very promising family. I know your family very well. Your mother, your father, highly educated, very, very promoting of education, promoting and doing your best, being what you desire to be. And they pushed you, and they gave you the tools and everything that you possibly could need to be successful. In that being said, would you ever thought in your mind that in this climate, and here you are, this is not 1955, this is not 1960. Would you ever thought that this would happen in your lifetime?
Not necessarily. For me, it's a few things, Pastor, and to the audience watching. One, the power of social media is incredible. So on one piece, I'm encouraged by those coming out of the woodworks and sharing Black Lives Matter initiatives on their feed, on their timeline, that stuff, and keeping it alive, keeping that motion alive is something that's been encouraging to myself. I know me personally, I would probably have been discouraged a little bit if I did not attend one of this, or an event that is held in Tampa every year for Martin Luther King's birthday. Pastor, you may have been. It's downtown at the Hilton, and it's a ton of different Black professionals. And these are people that are room shakers and table creators and opportunity makers. So I know that I visited that one time, and it just played a huge part of my life, because I see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So there's that side of it, to where I'm still encouraged, and I want to encourage others that are watching this that it's bad, but we just have to stay on ourselves to finesse it a little more, which isn't right. But it's something that we have to go through now, and we're creating that change, and through one of the channels being social media. And on the other side of it's also been weighing on my patience, because, and I'm working with it more now. I'm coping with it and being more patient. But with some parties and friends and others, like bringing this stuff up to me now, like some of the events that we're seeing because of our cameras and that sophisticated technology, almost making it seem like it's new, as if it's COVID. Like, oh, how are you dealing with COVID? It's like, let me tell you about this, because I've never been through this before, or this is something new. And it's something that, I've experienced my entire life. So like when people ask me that question, they bring it up as if it's a new event. It's like, man, come on. Like this is something that we've been through literally my entire life. I remember events like 5 or so odd years ago. My brother's friend was waiting outside for him to come out and get dressed. They were going to go out or whatever. And a cop harassed him outside of my house. He was doing nothing but sitting there. Harassed him outside of my house, saying, oh, I'm going to write you a ticket because you're blocking the street. It's like, where else are you going to wait for your friend to come out the house? stuff that obviously is color driven and racially driven. But so when he told that to my brother's friend tried to fix the problem by pulling into the driveway, and when the other cop came, said that the guy was trying to run him over. And this was on Christmas Eve, Pastor. This cop was ruining this young man's Christmas Eve. Wrote him a ticket. I think he may even took him in because he went with the story that he tried to run him over. So seeing events like that, as you mentioned, I've been in corporate America for 7.5 years. So not with my company now, but with previous jobs, and seeing how that is embedded into the corporate infrastructure. So I've been trying to be more patient with it and educational to my friends who aren't familiar with that. So it's just been those two sides of me and being encouraged and trying to encourage others, and also me working with my own patients. So.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing those examples with me and with our audience, because one thing I have learned is that this is not, you're a different generation. This is not keep quiet and hope it goes away. This is not silently protest and march and we just going to, as Dr. King says, nonviolent protest. And I can hear the frustration in your spirit, in your heart, where you are trying your best to harness it, but at the same time you're like, look, I ain't my grandfather. I'm not my grandmother. You're gonna get these hands if you see. and I feel it. I can see it. I can feel your passion, and you know that you are you know you're trying to sift through, and I understand. And so with that being said, you said, you know, about your friends, you know, and I'm pretty sure you've had multiracial or other ethnic friends. How, Lorenz, have you had to deal with friends? Have you lost friends? Did you have to, like, look, you know, get them straight? Like, what's the dynamic with your friends?
I would say, for me, not to sound like a loner, but at this stage of my life, I think that I refined my friendship circle to where I didn't have any of those issues, to where, like, with this climate rearing its ugly head, to where I saw other sides of people that I didn't see before. So I haven't dealt with any of that personally, Pastor. I know a lot of people that have, and it's encouraging to me seeing people change those relationships because of how other people are feeling. And they know, if you feel like that with me, or you feel comfortable saying that to me, then I can only imagine what you're doing to others, or to Black people. So I appreciate that piece. But for me, it's just been the educational piece, and for acquaintances and ex-colleagues and things like that, just trying to get that conversation started and getting people comfortable with that conversation of why you shouldn't devalue a person just based on the color of their skin. So it's not always a fun conversation. And like you said, Pastor, there's been times to where buttons have been pushed, but my mother is always mother and father, always one to inject the word of God at any opportunity she has, which I appreciate. And I think it's taken me this far. But one thing that she always used to say is that I believe it's I may be paraphrasing, Pastor, so don't kick me off this. Don't kick me off the Zoom. But a soft tongue turns away wrath. So in dealing with those cops that are overly aggressive because of the color of my skin, trying to maintain my cool, because I know where they can take it if they wanted to. So I try to mitigate that.
Not you, Lorenz. You're such a quiet and meek and humble guy, and soft-spoken and very mild-mannered and even tempered. Not you.
It you know, Pastor, it gets the best of all of us sometimes, where you got to pull it back in, and it's but again, I mean, it's a part of the process. It's ever growing, and you know, it's what we got to deal with. But I'm glad this generation, in all generations in this climate now, we're kind of pulling together and trying to break down those barriers of racism everywhere.
Right. So Talisha, you work in corporate America. You've been in corporate America for some years now. How has that climate impacted you with social justice, and you're working in the thick of corporate America, and you have probably many, of other races that, I had one, with a politician, and you could tell he was sitting there nervous. But my thing is that these conversations are not meant to be comfortable. And that's what I want people to understand. If we're going to see real change, it's not meant for it to be comfortable. I'm not trying to make you feel comfortable. I'm not trying to make you feel plush and feel wonderful and feel great. No. I'm here to give you, as Loren said, to educate you, but also to make you see through my eyes, through the lens of someone that has been discriminated, the lens of my ancestors, the lens of our people that have been murdered and raped and have been done wrong for hundreds of years. So yes, this conversation is going to be uncomfortable. So how many uncomfortable conversations have you had in the workplace, in corporate America? What? Tell me about that.
So it's been, we'll say, about like 8 years now in corporate America. We'll go with that. And they are daily. Actually, I would say every 2 hours, I'm probably having a discussion about it. Whereas the company that I work for has understood that, hey, this is something that we need to actually sit there and talk about, because people don't understand what people of color go through on a daily basis, because it doesn't affect them. So they had a lot of different panelists. So Dr. Janetta Cole, she works at Spelman, and also she's a speaker, and I mean, she's amazing, like amazing. And she really brought home like a lot of things of like, she literally put voice to what I face every single day. And I was like, okay, well, somebody finally sees me. But then it was about 2 hours. Literally, as soon as it ended and I was going back to, actually transitioning back into work, I got about 10 IMs all at the same time, just like that, saying, she sounded so angry, like, what's going on? And everyone at work calls me Telly. They're like, Telly, you're never like that. And I said, no. I said, if you've ever seen it, you see my eyebrow go up and I smile and I tilt my head. Yes, that's me literally silently screaming at you, because I'm trying to be professional while Black. That's what I call it. Because I'm not going to mess up my money because of your ignorance.
Right.
Very well put.
And they're like, well, like she's talking about, Black people getting killed and all of this stuff, but all lives matter. I said, okay. I said, since you went there, let's go ahead and have a nice little discussion. I will go ahead. I'll make up this time later, but we can have this discussion if you want to do this. So, and I went into the point where I was like, okay, you say that all lives matter, right? Okay, cool. That means that all lives. That means if you're white, brown, Black, purple, green, red, blue, whatever, that means everybody, right? Yeah. Okay. So if we make a smaller percentage of the population, but yet we're getting killed at a higher rate than the majority of the population, don't you see that inequality? Well, yeah, it's wrong. Okay, then. So if the blue lives aren't getting killed, if the green lives ain't getting killed, if the purple lives ain't getting killed, but the Black lives are, shouldn't we say, like if we talk about these endangered animals, well, right now we're an endangered race right now. Mm-hmm. We're in danger right now. So we need to put them on the list. Let's go ahead and protect them. Let's go ahead and do all the GoFundMes and saying, oh no, we got to protect them. Let's go ahead and do the same. If you can do it for an animal, you can do it for a human being. Take that same energy and apply it. And I said, the whole point is, and I said, look, professionally, we're cool, but do you ever see me outside the workplace? No. So you don't know what I go through. When I go to Walmart, you don't see that there are 5 employees following me. When I decide to go to International Mall, because I said, look, I worked a lot of overtime, I decided to treat myself to something fancy that I normally wouldn't go ahead and buy, but you don't see that all the security guards are watching me but yet y'all don't see the little white girl that's saying they're stealing about 5 different bags right underneath your noses because y'all focused on me. You're not afraid that the color of your skin is going to put you into a casket. So when you could acknowledge that, yes, all lives matter, but we need to focus on the Black lives right now, then come talk to me. We can have a discussion, but don't try to come to me about my anger and my frustration, or if I seem reserved and I pull away, because I've watched you. Mm-hmm. I've observed how you talk and how you think. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I'm like, look, I'm not going to get into a fight with you. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation because I will not endanger my salvation mm-hmm. because of your ignorance. I can't do it.
Absolutely. Now, how do you balance? Now, we're all unique, and I like how you brought that up, and I'm glad you said that, because, you know, I was on social media, and I like that one person said, if that's the case, if all lives matter, then if your house is burning with fire, then we call the fire department, and we're going to say all houses matter. We don't need to put your house, the fire out, because all houses matter. Just because your house is on fire right now, that's not important. All houses in this neighborhood matter. And it seems as though it's not clicking. It's still not resonating in the lives of other ethnicities. Now, I pose this question to both of you. Here's a twofold question. One is, how do we explain to those that say these words? Well, I didn't do it. I'm not racist. You know, and I'm pretty sure they're not. Let's just say they're not. They're probably misguided, misunderstood. But they're saying, why do you point your hatred towards me? It was my ancestors. It was my, you know, going back 100 years. Why are you doing this to me? I had nothing to do with what has taken place and all the injustices that have occurred. Why are you pointing that to me? And so it makes us have to, it almost feel like we have to retreat, because now it's directly coming at them. And so now we feel like, oh, well, you know, we shouldn't direct our frustration and our anger towards them, because true, they did not have anything to do with it. That their families, or maybe they don't feel responsible. So how do you address that when they have that's their Lorenz? How do you address that?
I mean, I combat that by saying, I mean, like, to your point where you said that's true, they personally did not have anything to do with that. True. But they can do something about it today and educate those who they're around that still embody those same principles of the people who did it back then. I don't think that mentality of the folks that were, well, I wouldn't even say think. I know that mentality of the folks that were doing those heinous crimes to Black people back then has not disintegrated and has not gone away, and a lot of those today. So help us educate those people. And I think we're doing a decent job, at, or they're doing a decent job, some of them are at building that alliance with us and helping to spread that message with us. Again, like, I see more and more people wearing like the Black Lives Matter mask on their jobs that aren't Black. And small things like that kind of give me that encouragement that, okay, you understand that although you may not have hung anyone, you can help fight that mentality of the people who you were around who have that hang them mentality. So, I mean, that's one way that I would combat that, or to answer that question, Pastor.
Absolutely. Silence is complicit. When you are silent, you are pushing the propaganda of this whole mentality of racism. So if you just sit back and say nothing, then you are just as complicit as the person who is doing the injustice. And that's what I think that is very vital to tell our other friends and brothers and sisters that are other ethnicities, that you may didn't do it, but you can open up, you can speak out, you can educate your family members that are racist, that are bigots, that are prejudiced, that when you can call it out, you can say, when you see it, that's not right. That's wrong. And when you say nothing, you are just as guilty as the person who is committing it. So Talisha, how do we keep our uniqueness? Now, again, you both in corporate America, and you bring your own culture, you bring your own individuality, but also your ancestors and your family and what you were taught and how you interact and your Blackness. As you said, you can't, at the end of the day, take it off like a lab coat. This is who you are. So you bring it to work with you. So how do you bring what who you are, your uniqueness, your individuality, along with your skin color and all that it encompasses, to the workplace, to wherever you go? How do you remain an individual? How do you remain unique without being categorized as the angry Black woman that is going to educate and say, this is why I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, I am just enraged? How do you balance that?
I am known for my conversation starter t-shirts. So I have a green shirt that says "We Out, Harriet Tubman." Very simple. And it sparks a conversation. And then I go ahead and I talk about it. I have different shirts that go with that. So I mean, that's kind of how I've slightly started to show, like, okay, I'm not just the average Joe, or I'm just not a pretty face. Because typically where I get is, oh, Talisha, you speak so eloquently for someone from your background. I said, oh, really? I said, oh, that's only one. Like, I got stories for days. We don't have enough time for that one, Pastor. We don't have enough time for that. But it's like, well, how am I supposed to speak? I have a brain. I know the English language. I talk how I'm supposed to talk. And like, oh, well, you just don't sound like, other Black girls. And I said, well, what does sounding Black sound? I said, what does Black sound like? So I thought Black was a color or a description of a race. So please enlighten me. And I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, forcing that uncomfortable position because they expect for you to just be like, okay, yeah, thank you for the compliment. No, I'm going to make it uncomfortable for you because you made it uncomfortable for me. I'm clearly went through the interview process just like you did. I have the qualifications, or I wouldn't have gotten the interview. I'm clearly capable of doing the job, or with sufficient training being able to do the job, just like you did. So we're all here to do the same. We're all here to do the same thing. So just because I'm Black shouldn't change anything. So it's kind of like, I'm the person that I will make you explain exactly what you mean.
So you put it back in their face. So
yeah.
So as they are trying to say these, I guess these little innuendos, that's not directly, but it's indirect, bigoted statements. So you put it back in their face as to enlighten them. That's an opportunity to enlighten. Is that correct?
It is. I asked them, hey, just so I understand, for my clarification, what exactly did you mean about that?
So I'm pretty sure that makes them very uncomfortable.
It surely does, but guess what? I don't care, because at this point, I've lived my life way too long in these uncomfortable moments where I remember in preschool, it's about like maybe 3 or 4, and probably my mom's watching, so she'll probably comment and tell me exactly how old I was. But I came home and I said, Mommy, I'm Black. And I remember because we had to color something about like who we were. And so I was using whatever color crayon. And I think I was given a black crayon because, I am Black. And so I came back, I was like, Mommy, I'm Black. Here it is, I'm Black. And she's like, Who told you that? Like, you're human, you're Talisha, you're smart, you're intelligent, and you're going to do amazing things. I've kept that through my whole entire life, and nothing can stop me because I am me. And the black part of it's just icing on the cake. Because I mean, I could switch up my hair every 3 days if I felt like it. And I do it at work too. I told them in training, I said, look, don't get used to this look. It will change. And I did it on purpose every single day for a week.
The wonderful uniqueness of being black is being versatile. So that is amazing.
Exactly.
That is amazing. Go ahead, Lorenz.
Oh, no, I don't want to cut you all off. But I wanted to piggyback off of you all on that unique part. And Pastor, you said something earlier about that lens that we have from our ancestors and past generations. And I think that that's something that we can share with others, but our experiences through that is something that we can't, or that others can't go through. And that's what makes us unique. And that's what makes it contagious. So those experiences shape who we are as Black people. And the more we educate ourselves, the more we get ourselves into those corporate American seats and get ourselves creating those tables, not just at those tables, people flock to it because they haven't seen that before. Our ability to navigate through times to where you're not supposed to survive. You're not supposed to get that interview. You're not supposed to be on your third round of the interview. You're not supposed to be an AVP. You're not supposed to do these things. And the fact that we are, Pastor, you said the number yourself, 401 years behind, and where we've come as a people, as a race, that stuff is incredible. And that tenacity that we have is something that makes us unique. And this time is pivotal to every young person watching this, anyone watching this. These conversations are going to go two ways. They're going to continue or throw more coal on the fire of Black people or this and that. We don't want to deal with them, which, I mean, that was going to happen anyways, whatever. And then there's going to be the professionals that are like, let me see what they got to talk about. Let's bring them in for an interview, or let's see what their product is. You know, there's going to be those opportunities to where we have to continue to sharpen our tools, refine our I say all the time, refine our resume skills, that conversation, because I think we are going to see some more opportunities open up, and we as a culture have to, with our uniqueness, capture those opportunities. So I think our lens that we have that others can't look through is something that inadvertently makes us unique, and that piece is contagious.
Now let me be devil's advocate for a moment.
Yes, sir.
So now your generation has become the catalyst, your generation, while my generation and older kind of sat back for a moment. And you all were the ones that were starting to protest, the marches. You all were the ones getting arrested and in the streets. You all were the ones that started this movement. Black Lives Matter didn't start by somebody 60, 70 years old. You all, your generation started this. The generation, the millennials, those that are coming behind, the teenagers and everyone else. Here is the devil's advocate side of me, where you all will march, you'll protest, you all will get in the streets, and you will be confrontational. But here it is, when it comes time in November, you won't vote. So how can you get your generation to take that same passion, harness that same anger and rage and frustration? And we're not talking about the very small few minority that's going out looting and taking advantage of this time and destroying businesses. That's very small. But media, especially other groups of media, want to magnify it and act as if everybody's like that, which we know is not. We've seen on television that many white people were masking themselves as Black Lives Matter, and they were doing a lot of the destructive behavior. But for the majority of you all are doing it very much in a positive manner. But how can we take that passion and put it towards November voting? Because you all are the smallest percentage of the voting block? What can we do?
Is that for me?
Either one of
I mean,
Okay. Oh, you got to
it's real because of the fact that for our generation, because we have social media and we're able to sit there and catapult and combine our collective forces together. And I've seen it where I got added to a Facebook group and there was 5 protests happening at the exact same time because they coordinated it. The fact of the matter is that while we may signify like the smallest percentage of the voting population, because of our protests and what we've done, you've seen a lot. It's a lot more in the media. It's a lot more pronounced. So if you take that and say, okay, hey guys, we got our protests in, we were on the news, we have all this stuff, people are seeing us, people are actually hearing our voices. Now let's take what they're seeing and let's take it to the polls. That's what I do for anyone that's connected to me. They know, okay, this is good. Like we can sit here and protest all day. That's them to listen to us. Now we actually going to go ahead and lay out all our facts. I'm a very factual person. I'm just like, look, A, B, C, D, and then I have appendix A through Z as well. Like, it's good enough to bring them, like, it's good enough to, okay, get them to listen to you. Like, now you say, hey, protests are like, hey, I'm here. Now you have their eyes on you. What are you going to say? That's what the polls are going to do. Your polls are your voice.
So Lorenzo, how can we get that same passion to the polls? Because that's what's going to change. That's what's going to change the laws. That's what's going to, and let me say this before you answer, is that we just cannot vote nationally for president. That's what I think. That's one thing that we have a misunderstanding about, is that we believe that the federal government is going to change our local and change how we live and change everything about us and how we live and everything, how we I guess go about life, but not realizing that that's only a small portion of the piece of the puzzle. How do we get them to not only go to the polls, but guess what? We got to get us involved in running for office. So you just cannot vote, but you got to get those that you're voting for to be on our agenda, to say, this is what we believe in, this is what's important. Take this to Washington and you're going to vote the way we, the people, want you to vote, and to change laws. And so not just federally, but state, and locally. How do we get this same anger and harness the same passion and push them to the polls?
Yes, sir. And that is, I'll answer that. I got a lengthy answer I'm gonna cut down for you. But I like that you opened this forum up for us to be real. So that's something that I myself struggle with, because I did not vote. And I don't have an explicit reason for that, but I think for something that would help me and maybe others in my generation, because we have to remember, you brought it up earlier, like you guys are the ones protesting and bringing the action to the streets, but you're not at the polls, which is, I would say, is true. My generation is the age of information. We're the age of instant gratification. So for us, it's like, all right, we have to be educated on, and again, I go back to the age of information piece, is that there's stuff saying that it doesn't matter who you vote for because they both have the same agenda, or they're puppets for the same thing. So that stuff we're getting thrown at us. And it's like, okay, so what could I do, or what can be done to help change that or help show that to me? And on the flip side, for the instant gratification piece, is like, I know if I go out on the street, or if I rally up people in my social media network, and we go out and we make it happen, it's going to be made happen. That's how the people are on the news about their protest. Other people may have gotten carried away, according to some others' perspective, but I think the more we reel it in and educate ourselves on the change that you're voting for is going to make an actual change, and us not being so or being so used to getting that instant gratification of like, I'll go out with signs and people and we'll make this happen. I think that will help mitigate that piece of it a little bit. But I mean, that's something, again, like to my point, that something I struggle with. So I want to help turn that and take that to the polls, because for me, I was more focused on what can I do in my life to help pull up Black and brown brothers and sisters up under me and empower them, which I know voting plays a huge part in that. But for me, I can see it when I could invite you to an interview that I'm interviewing you for. I can't see what my vote is doing. I know what it's supposed to do, but I can't see that. I can't control that. But I can control who I'm putting in different seats, or who I'm educating, who I'm inviting out to talk about their finances, their credit empowerment. I could see that stuff. So that's the stuff that I was focused on. But again, I think it's something that I just need to educate myself, and those who don't vote should educate themselves on making that change through that stream.
And I'm glad, I appreciate your honesty and your transparency, because that's one thing I wanted this discussion to be real. And I appreciate you having the courage to admit that, and to say, even I struggle and I need some help in the area. And one thing I think, and what you all agree with me, is one thing is that can help your generation. I know I look young, but I'm a part of the Generation X. I'm the last part of Generation X.
We need an ID.
Too kind. But I think one thing that has helped me is that when you get involved, get in the trenches. And so I think many of you, because you have the social media platforms, you have the Instagram, you have Twitter, you have now TikTok, and my daughter is on TikTok. She's about TikTok more than I do. And so you have all of these different social media platforms, because now Facebook has kind of become the older generation. And now you all are Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok and other things. What if you all started the same conversation with your generation? I mean, just you all starting a real in-depth conversation that is not just around race, but around capitalism, economic empowerment, and how it works in America, and how to push people to, as you said, educate themselves and then motivate them, because I believe education should bring motivation to push them to go to the polls, but also to get involved in these movements. And so one thing, you saw me, I was out there walking and protesting. And so when being out there is different from watching it on television and seeing it. But when you are there in the thick of it, I think it motivates you. So would you all agree that you all can push your colleagues and your contemporaries to get involved on the ground level? And when you're involved, it changes you, because you're right in the trenches. Would you all agree with that?
Certainly.
Definitely.
Okay.
And I'd like to piggyback of what Lorenz said, that we are in the age of information. Typically, if you want to know how to do something, there's a YouTube for that, literally. And so I know, like you, Pastor, my daughter is definitely all about TikTok. But then I realized that some of my friends who are doctors, lawyers, educators, are taking to TikTok and saying, okay, well, today I'm going to go ahead and teach you something that we didn't know, that we didn't grow up learning in this age of information back when we were in school. Unless, you were taking an African-American class in college. That's when I really had, literally my first Black teacher was in college. And it's coming through and seeing that, okay, now we are learning a lot more things that, we didn't know growing up, but we're going to make sure that the people coming behind us, you're not going to be able to have the same thing of, well, I didn't do it, or I didn't know. No, just like there's a scripture that says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. We're not going to give you that excuse, because of the fact that we, like you said, we are not our ancestors. We are more about action. So for me, I'm not going to move unless I know what I'm doing. So when it comes to the polls, I started doing this from when I had my daughter voting from home. You can mail your vote. You don't have to go nowhere but your mailbox. It comes to you, you stick it right back in, you're done. But doing it that way gives me a lot of time to sit there and research the person or the people that I'm voting for. Or if I have the chance, depending on work schedule and things like that, to actually go sit on like a discussion that they're having, or I'll try and send them an email just to figure out actually who they are as a person. Because you can talk about a platform all day long, but who are you? Like, because really your platform is to satisfy the masses. We don't want to satisfy the masses. You're trying to satisfy me. You need my vote, not everybody else. You need mine, because I could technically be the tipping point. And if we all get the understanding, especially for like millennials and people coming behind us, is if you come with the understanding that you could literally be the tipping point of getting what we need and the change to happen, or for us dealing with the same idiocy that we've been dealing with that we're all tired of, wouldn't you want to go out there? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you want to be able to say, okay, well, hey, I did it, but do it with an actual conscious mind? Yeah, definitely getting into the grassroots, learning about it. So I'm actually committing myself to this. I don't know when I'm gonna find the time, but I am. Mm-hmm. But to actually do this on my personal page, where I'm going to take a topic, research it, learn about it, and go through it and actually teach it to somebody else.
Absolutely. And one thing, as we come to the last 4 or 5 minutes of this discussion, which we're going to have more and more often, I hope that you all join with us again to continue this discussion. Next week, we're going to have 2 more people, and maybe we might invite you all back with those other 2, because next week is going to be another 2 amazing, talented and gifted and very, very intellectual thinkers such as yourself. But I sent you all I sent you a video of this gentleman explaining the time of Reconstruction after the Civil War and how it was working, and how during the time of Reconstruction, Black-owned businesses was flourishing. You know about Tulsa, Oklahoma, what we call Black Wall Street, 1921. And this community was thriving with Black businesses, professionals. And so many thousands of Black people were registered to vote. You had so many thousands of Black people that were running for office in politics. They were representing their communities, but because of racial this racial divide and polarizing time that they lived in, and racism, they destroyed by fire, and hundreds of people were killed. And then it began to plummet. The Black-owned businesses began to decrease. Those that I believe the number was in Louisiana, 125,000 Black people were registered to vote. But after that, Jim Crow segregation laws, it went from 125,000 to 5,000 votes. And so that means that decreased in elected officials that look like us. And so now you have the civil rights era and the civil rights movement, voting rights, protecting voting rights acts, and all these different things that Jim Crow segregation built up. Segregation was the biggest topic. That's why the Confederate flag simply represents segregation. And so you have all of that going on. So the gentleman that was talking, he was there, little boy, but I think he said he was 11 years old, that he was there during the time Dr. King was shot and assassinated. And he's seen many of these movements. He's seen the protests, he's seen the marches. But he says after all of that, he's now probably in his mid to 60s to late 60s. And he's saying, after all of seeing all of that these monuments, and if you notice, you've seen the monuments, Confederate monuments are coming down. He said, and I'm not going to quote him because I don't remember what he said verbatim, but he said that this movement he has never seen before, that this is the catalyst of ultimate change and reform. Now, the monuments coming down is not going to solve the problem of racism in our nation, but this is a movement that he's seen like none other. What do you all think? What do you all believe that's going to be the outcome? What's going to come out of this movement when the protest has ended, the marches have subsided? What do you think is going to be the end result, the end game, as a result of all of this that we're seeing? You know, Lorenz, go ahead. What do you think?
I think nothing if we don't continue to, I keep going back to empowering ourselves. If we do all this now, we're making things shake. And I think a lot of it is companies and people can't hide any longer. So, like I said, the power of social media is incredible. So a lot of these people are having to do things that they may not even personally want to do, but they have to do it, which is still a win for us. But if we don't continue to take this moment and build on it, then it'll just be a time in history that, hey, you remember in 2020 when all those statues and things in Tennessee and all that stuff came down? Yeah, I do. And we'll still be in the same place. So I honestly hope to piggyback off of what we were saying with the voting. So if we take all this momentum and we just let it die and we don't hit the polls in November, we don't hit the polls for our local election, we don't get in college, we don't stop empowering each other. If those things don't happen and we don't foster those things, then it's just going to lie flat. So
what would you like to see? What would you like to see where you can say what we did mattered? This changed this. What would you like to see that you could say this was a pivotal moment that now here's a result?
I don't know how we would measure it, but I mean a mindset change. I think for us, we're seeing now that we have the power, and I hate to fall back on their allyship, but we have the power and the allies to create things and to create movements and to start things of our own. So let's build on that and let's continue to create those things. Like I said at the beginning of this, I want to see more table makers. I'm tired of asking for seats at the table or looking in at the table or serving the table. I want to be able to see all of us or a lot of us creating those tables. And I think we can do that. We have huge momentum. Getting a cosign from the gentleman that presented in that video you share with us is huge. That's validity that what we're doing is real and it's mattering and it matters. So I think we have to continue to take this and build upon it. And if we don't, like I said, all this work, all these posts are just going to lay flat, and we'll be back to where we are trying to restart this again in 2025 or something. So I really hope we have a mindset change, and I hope we reach down and grab one another and build upon this time. I think the soil is right, and I think we can make some things happen. So
absolutely. And I love this because here's the thing. I just believe I'm a little optimistic that we're never going back to what was. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because not only of this social injustice, and your generation is not having it. Enough is enough. But here's another thing. The pandemic, this sickness and disease, this crisis, is making sure we don't go back. It's making sure that we never go back to status quo. And so I don't think that the momentum is going to subside. It's going to continue. Here is the issue, and as you said so eloquently, is that unless we empower ourselves, and I like how you said that we put ourselves at the seat of the table, where now we got to start becoming the CEO, the board of directors, those persons that are mover and shakers, that are making the decisions and not waiting on decisions. I'm gonna say that again, making decisions and not waiting on the decisions. And so I think that you are intricately, God has placed you in an intricate place to have that corporate mind thinking, because everybody can't be the same. We have to be with the one mind, going in with the mindset of change, but in different areas, in sports arena, entertainment, the church arena, corporate America, you name it. We have to be in all those different areas, but with the same mindset. And I'm glad that you said that. Now, Talisha, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to be the result when it's all said and done?
Well, like Lauren said, that if we don't capitalize on this momentum that we have, it's going to basically, even though we will never be the same because of COVID right now, it'll still basically fall flat.
So what do you want to see?
But I foresee that the fact of the matter is that we're not going to accept, the typical, oh, you're just so awesome, da da da, like all those placating words. We're not going to accept that anymore. No, you're going to make this work. Like, I have the same qualifications, the same type of attributes that my counterparts have. We're going to be here. We're going to show the representation because clearly y'all been lacking for these past 20 years. So I'm going to help you out and I'm going to go ahead and be that voice. And because of that, we are gaining our voices now and we are using our platforms. We're going to take that and we're going to take that torch that the previous generations, they showed us how to do it, but now we're going to take it a step further. And then we're going to take it upon ourselves to reach down for the younger generations to pull them back up and be like, hey, little brother, little sister, little cousin, you can do this, but I want you to be better. Like, I tell the girls that I mentor, they're like, Talisha, I want to be like you. And I said, no, you're not going to be like me. You're going to be better than me. And I said, that's how you're going to show me that what I said actually registered. If you start out at my age now, you're 10 steps ahead of me. So that means that we have more representation in politics. We have more representation when we're like in the medical field, when we have more representation when we're in the education, when we have more representation in corporate America. That's not that, diversity and inclusion group where you have the token few. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then whenever something big happens, that's when you see them. But on a daily basis, when I'm walking through the office, I never knew these people existed. And they're the token few that fought their way through the glass ceiling and said, no, I belong at the table. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm glad you did. But are we going to sit here and pave the way for more people to join you at that table? Or are we just going to keep it inclusive and keep our mouths shut? No. We're all going to join together and be like, hey, everyone has a seat at the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing as we close this segment is that one thing I want your generation to do is be inclusive. Everybody, if we're going to achieve this, we're not going to do it alone. We have to bring, and guess what? I know the one thing you cannot do is blame the previous generation. Yes, they made mistakes, but we got to include them. We got to learn from their mistakes and we got to include their wisdom. You have the power, you got the strength. Now let's include strategy and plan. Let's bridge the gap. Let's have the older generation, middle generation, the X, your generation, and let's come together and make it happen. And so one thing we neglect to do is we have one generation saying, let's do it like this. And the older generation said, no, let's do it like this. And they got the middle generation is trying to, so we got to all come together. And I like that when we come together, the Jesse Jacksons types and the Al Sharptons types and the, so forth and so on, and your generation, and bring it together. When we're unified, we're unstoppable. We're unstoppable. And that's one thing I've learned. And I said this Sunday that Malcolm X said that they can they can't outnumber us, but they can out-organize us. And that's one thing that we lack is organization, unity. And so the enemy brings division. He's been doing it for eons of time. So when we come together. So I am so grateful that we had this discussion. I'm glad that we had this open dialogue. And I challenge every person. Now, let me say this to everybody that's watching. Don't fool yourself. These are two intelligent, successful, spiritual, two young adults. But I'm going to tell you right now, They are tithers. They are givers. They believe in sowing. They believe in reaping. And I believe that that is why they are blessed today. And I can say, I don't know what they give, but I know that they are givers. And so I know that they were taught to give, but they stand on those principles of giving. And so I appreciate them being a part of this ministry, and not just being a part as a number, as two members that are present physically, but they are present financially. They are present in their giving of their talents and their time. And I appreciate both of you, because you all make this happen. And so I recognize it. I just want to tell you from Pastor, I recognize it. And you know, with the trustees, I don't let them tell me who gives what amounts, but I watch as Jesus watched when it came time for the offering. Jesus sat by the collection plate, and while many of the millionaires were giving, this just one widow woman, she gave all she had, and Jesus said she's more blessed. And so it was the intent of her heart, the sincerity of her heart. So do I watch? This is when we were coming together before COVID. Do I watch you give? Absolutely, I watch. And believe it or not, I pray for those who are giving. I say a sincere prayer for those who are giving, because I want to always make sure that God pours out favor and blessings. And I see you all. I see y'all executives. Lorenz, I see you an executive, sir. I see you at the top. I see you making decisions, board of directors. I see you, if not president of the bank or president of some a corporation that's making it happen. Talisha, I see you with multiple businesses. I mean, you got 4 or 5 different businesses and corporations that you are managing, and CEO and chairman and and founder and so forth and so on. I see it. You have your hand in multiple levels of entrepreneurship and in corporate America. I see all that. So I am praying for both of you. Make it happen. Make it come to pass. And like you said, when you break that glass ceiling, pull somebody up with you and empower them and educate them. So I appreciate you all coming on tonight. So I hope that everybody was blessed. I hope that everybody go ahead and sow and give to, as you know, every week, your church has been in the trenches and on the ground level, feeding the community every single week. No week has gone by without us being in the community, feeding the community. And we've done over 1,500 boxes. We've given, we've fed over 1,000 families, and we make sure that the community has the necessary resources to survive through this time of crisis. And so we need your help to sow and to give. Everybody that's watching, go ahead, go to our platforms of giving, Cash App, the money sign SG Church. You can go to Givelify, download it on your smartphone, and go to Shekinah Glory Cathedral. And so you can give by debit and credit card, sgchurch.net. We need you to sow and to give, because we believe in doing kingdom work. And as you give to the kingdom, God will bless you. So we pray that you were blessed by tonight's broadcast and this discussion. And we're going to have these more often. So all month long is going to be young, gifted, and talented Black educated young people such as yourself to further this discussion and how we can get involved. So tune in next Tuesday, 7:30, and we've gone over our time. My producer has already told me wrap it up, but I just enjoyed this tonight, talking with you all. It was such a joy to learn from you as you have learned from me. So again, I appreciate you both. Thank you so much. So God bless all of you. And this ends our discussion. So peace and favor be upon you. We love you. Till next time.